Hi, everybody. Welcome to this video by our Shiloh team. We're here today to talk about NeuroSpicy. And what we mean by that is we're talking about what neurodivergence is and what is neurotypical. So, Heather, let's start off by defining these terms. What is NeuroSpicy?
Well, one, it makes me laugh because sometimes just in my own household, we have a prevalence of the neurodivergent, and including myself. And it just keeps it interesting. Like, oh, okay, this isn't a problem. This just makes things more interesting. So it describes, neurodivergence describes people whose brains process info, learn, and behave different from what's typical or what's normal. And this can show up in every area of their life. It's not just going to be only at work or only at school or something like that. This is all day, every day. And it includes the most typical terms are going to be autism, ADHD, and dyslexia, but there are a lot of other subsidiary and connecting diagnoses that can come from it. And these are just natural variations on the human brain and our cognition rather than deficiencies. So
Yeah. So we see a prevalence of this in our society. Some people warn about the amount of people that are diagnosed incorrectly or being that doctors tend to be overly diagnosing this these days. So I feel like it's a really interesting topic, especially for the church and leadership and how we deal with this and how we help people in interpersonal relationships deal with this. So it's a really important topic to explore for us. And we want to be educated, and we also want to share testimonies of how we've overcome. We all three share different variations of being neurodivergent. And so we'll share some of our testimonies as we get into it. But I just want to talk about a little bit about what it's not. Like this is not your identity if you're diagnosed with any of these things. This is not a word curse. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It's just something that is helpful as a tool to help us all become more self-aware and so that we can grow closer to the Lord as we allow him to be our strength where we are weak.
Right. Yeah. So there's a ton of different symptoms for all of the different diagnoses. There's like the list is endless, and it depends on what where the symptoms fall under each diagnosis. I'm most familiar with ADHD. As something in my household, I was diagnosed with ADD when I was in middle school. They said I tested as gifted, but I was failing all my classes except for band. I was good at band, but I didn't know what was going on. I was daydreaming all day long. I like, there's pretty things outside. Why are we sitting in this boring classroom?
Yeah.
And I didn't deal with hyperactivity at all, but I was creative, and I would get overstimulated a lot and just feel kind of crazy when there's too much going on. So they say for diagnosis now, you have to have at least 6 symptoms in 2 different areas of your life to be considered on the ADHD spectrum. And there's lots of different types and categories of ADHD too. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
no 2 people look this exact same.
Yeah. So it can be ADD, ADHD, autism. It can be Asperger, which that term isn't used as much anymore, but it is helpful to kind of that niche of people who are really, really, really brilliant, but are very also they struggle with social cues and relational interactions. So I still like to use that term because it's very different from someone that is generically autistic because of certain differences. But also, the sensory integration is an issue. A lot of people with on the spectrum, including myself, have issues with being overstimulated with their senses. And that's what reminded me, because you were saying getting overwhelmed. So we'll talk about our stories too along the way. But our son also, this is the first time I heard this, was a mom came up to me when he was in kindergarten and said, my kid has sensory integration issues. I think that yours might too. And so I started researching it. I'm like, this is so. The things that I just would share about that from Aiden's testimony is that I had to learn to give him a lot of downtime, because he would come home, completely overstimulated and want to go to his room and shut off all the light. And this was later on when he was more preteen and teen. When he was young, he was a little ping pong ball, like like a pinball popping all over the place. So he'd come home and just run, play.
Climbing the walls, literally.
Yes. So then when he got older, I saw this shift and I got really worried. And so just want to help parents out there who may experience this. It's with the appropriate amount of parental guidance, they do need their downtime, their cave time. He would just kind of go in, lights
just
out.
Relax.
Yeah. And so one of the problems that I struggled with is, in middle school, he didn't want to go to youth group. I'm like, you're old enough to go to youth group. And he's like, why on earth would I want to do that when I've been in school all day?
Right.
Like to him, it was all about being overwhelmed. He didn't look at it as an opportunity to grow closer to God or his peers at church. It was like filter of overstimulation. That's all he would look through that lens at. So I had to kind of work with him on that and kind of fine tune his spiritual education around that need to be able to, in the evening, to kind of decompress.
Right.
So anyway, one of the funny stories for Aiden was that when he was in preschool, one of the gifts of being neurodivergent is sometimes being able to hyperfocus. I know Dustin has a story to tell about this too, but Aiden was really into astronomy and he knew all the planets at 4 years old, and he knew all the space shuttles that by name. He could identify them. His room was decorated in it. He loved it. Yep. So his pre-K teacher said, Aiden, you may know all the planets in the solar system, but if you can't write your name, you'll never be an astronaut. And it's just typical of someone neurodivergent. We both laugh because we can relate to this. Like, you may not know some basic skills that everybody needs, but you are, maybe really super hyper-focused and excel at another thing.
Yeah.
Like it can be art, it can be dinosaurs, it can be insects, it can be lots of different things. It just depends on what the person on this spectrum is interested in, right?
Because they're getting those, they say like it's a dopamine deficiency or your brain's having a hard time processing and getting more dopamine. And so whenever you find that area that you really, really like, you're getting that extra happy chemicals going all the time. And so you're able to actually focus on things and actually eliminate some of the other sensory stuff that's going on, and you don't get distracted. So in my house, we're like, hey, do you see my eyes?
Yes.
Okay, we need to talk and we need to do something or whatever.
So that's a great example of tools we were talking about earlier. Sometimes you have to physically touch someone to get their attention. And so tell us about some more tools that we can use with children or adults that we might encounter in our life that help.
Structure is a huge benefit to people on the spectrum. We need a lot of time and task management skills. Like at home, like I know it took me a long time to figure out, okay, on the weekends, I need extra help with structure because I feel crazy. Because all of a sudden my home that I tend to work out of home a lot, and now everybody else is home and my structure is blown and nobody wants to be on my structure because it's mine and that's not what they're used to. They're, down for the weekend. And so trying to find new ways to implement some structure and some routine. I thrive on routine. If I get out of my routine, things don't happen.
It's a love-hate relationship with routine, right? And structure. Yeah. We hate it, but we need it.
Need it so bad. Yeah. I need to make sure I get good quality sleep every night because if I don't, the next day it's worthless. I don't get anything done. Just trying to find ways to eat better. I know if I load up on sugar first thing in the morning, the rest of the day is going to be crazy for me. I'm not going to do very well.
I know. I like to use my phone. I call it my external hard drive because it helps me stay on task, like using my calendar.
I have alert systems that go off all day long.
Using the notes. Like I have to kind of be organized. Back in the day, one of the ways I wasn't diagnosed as a kid, but in hindsight, I was diagnosed as an adult and realized I was just a high functioning kid. But I was also a pleaser. So I was very motivated to make people happy, my teacher, my parents. So I kind of used that as a way to cope, I think. Anyway, so in college, I remember like senior year, we were working on a collaborative project. And we were supposed to meet on a Monday morning. Well, we went out of town, and since I didn't have class till later that afternoon, I totally forgot.
Oh,
and
no.
I felt so badly that I missed this appointment. It was for a major project. I got a good grade on the project, did none of the work, and everyone was frustrated because I didn't show up. And it was not that I couldn't have. I could have easily come back in time. But that's when I realized I was going to have help getting structure in my life to keep me organized and on task.
Self-management is a big deal.
Yeah. Can you think of any other tools that you use in your daily life that help you stay on task?
No, I don't know. I need someone to apply structure to me. So that's why I do well in my job, because I have
it's already in place.
Everything's in place and in a row. That's why I know y'all mentioned before this thing started about like entrepreneurs oftentimes are neurodivergent. All for me, because I tried that way too chaotic for me, because
you had to build all the structure,
and I couldn't
too
build
many
the structure.
pieces.
So
okay, well, there's also, I would say that's another love-hate thing, like give and take. But you are entrepreneurial in another way, like you're turning your hobby into something where you can do YouTube videos to teach other people about. You are thinking about writing a book, and you have all this data you're collecting, so it'll be easy to write. Like, you definitely have that tendency, but it's niche, right? And there's a lot of us have those interests that are niche that release this dopamine process for us. So, but anyway, so you want to tell us a little bit about your testimony and how you may have struggled or overcome things, or how you have excelled because of certain strengths.
Yeah, I think probably, for people that have these issues, it's relationships are probably the hardest thing, and being able to, because you don't feel understood by people, and you honestly think that you're the only one, and that's a lie. And that's a lie from the devil, because he isolates people, because you think they get themselves thinking, well, I'm the only one, so no one can help me. And then they get into shame. And so that's not the answer for sure. But I think that you gotta accept, and it's just taken me the longest time. You gotta accept your limitations. They're not your limitations. Doesn't mean you're broken. They need to be fixed. It just means that
you're human.
You're human. You can't do everything, and that's something I'm still trying to come into acceptance with. That as a perfectionist, that I can't do everything as well as someone else. Some things I can do 1,000 times better than other people.
Right.
But some things I have to learn to accept that I'm not the subject matter expert in everything. And, and I think, yes, you could become subject matter expert in a lot of these things, but there's no passion there. There's no interest. And I think that's part of what drives motivates me and drives me is the passion and the interest, because I like technology. I have a fascination with technology and all kinds of technology. And so I will look for an area that I want to explore that looks interesting, and that a lot of people are like not working. It's like some stuff that I'm doing at work. It's like most of my people on my team don't know anything about it. And so I've taken the last 6 or 8 months to become a true subject matter expert in it, where I now have people that aren't on my team reaching out to me and asking me for help. So
cool.
It's about investing, but you can't just invest in something that you have no interest in. Sure, I could teach myself lots of different things, but do I really want to teach myself gardening? No.
So you've learned to apply the ability to hyper focus to your career as a strength to succeed and get ahead. So
Yeah.
that's a great example for people who may feel like this is a handicap or something that's held you back in your career.
Right.
And it has. I mean, there have been challenges.
Yeah.
This is my husband, by the way. I don't know if I introduced him. Dustin and I have been married a long time, so I know that like there are parts of his career he struggled with in the early days, and that
I wasn't in the right career. It took me time to find my place because I have a gift from the Lord, and I am a teacher in the fivefold. God has anointed me with special teaching gifts, and I didn't tap into that first part of my career. Once I tapped into that, the passion flowed. My life started getting better and more organized, and I started becoming more self-aware, and I started, just caring more about life and caring about other people and looking at things. And as you tap into your passion, when you go where God puts his super on your natural, the money flows too. It creates financial inflow when you tap into, and I think that's a motivator as well. For I don't know for everyone like me, but for me, that's a motivator. Money is a motivator.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that's true, especially when it comes to your career. It's part of your identity. It's part of how you contribute to the world. And so I definitely seen that transition for you, and the way that it affect relationships. You became much more self-aware of how you were interacting with people at work, people at home. So along the way, I think it became more obvious to you that you had these strengths, and then you had these areas that you were ignoring that you needed to give some attention to. So for me, and the way Heather and I are wired, we get life and dopamine from interrelational
People.
Yeah, we are people. We love people. So, and then for some people, that's harder. And I know that Dustin, that was one of the things that you struggle with. And our son used to say when he was younger, I hate people. I'm like, you hate crowds, not people. Don't say that.
No, I still remember him being little and him like charging at me, giving me huge hugs when he'd see me. And I'm like, oh,
he loves people. I mean, he'll talk your ear off. He's very introverted in the sense he needs a lot of time to recharge, but he's not shy.
No.
And he does love people. And that's how he was, at church. He would go around hugging people, and he's very affectionate. So I identify this as a mom. Like, he's overstimulated by crowds.
Yep.
And so he's kind of learned to say this, and I tried to teach him a new way to communicate his emotions. Yeah. But anyway, I know that it can be draining sometimes to work on relational things where it's life-giving for me, and I want to talk. And he's like, okay, I'm done, backing out.
Yes.
So we had to learn to appreciate that about each other.
Yeah, and one other thing to add to this, it's like, because I spent years in counseling and therapy, and met with people like Jake Hamilton and all kinds of people that have been a blessing in my life. John Eldridge even. So I've had these titans of the faith minister to me, which I'm very appreciative for and feel blessed about that. But what they would always notice is I have two modes. I have work mode and I have home mode. And I'm really good at work mode because I get rewarded for my successes. At home, it's different, and it's hard to sometimes turn that off. And I think that's probably one of those things for...
There's no money motivator.
All right.
Well, I mean...
I know, I'm just joking, because that is a issue a lot of times for men, especially switching from work mode to home mode. Men come home, want to decompress. If the mom is a stay-at-home mom, they're ready to hand off the kids and be like, I need help.
Adult conversations.
Right. So
and
this that evening hour, the transition can be really tough to manage, especially when your kids are small, because you don't get a break. Somebody's got to be on call, taking care of dinner and homework and
it's challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to learn to die to self, and that's not easy either.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So we all have to learn to die to self. Whether you're neurodivergent or neurotypical, this is something that is part of the human experience, right? So one of the things I would always talk to Aiden about is like, yes, I know you're struggling, but everybody struggles. You don't get to be the one person in the universe that has no struggle. Everybody has some kind of struggle, and you may want this to go away so that you didn't have it, but the Lord has made you this way, and he's going to use it for good. That's the promise. And we have to rely on him. When we are weak, he is strong. And that is a beautiful thing that makes us dependent on him in a way that we might not be otherwise. If we were completely self-sufficient and everything was rainbows and Skittles, then, we might not have that awareness like, oh, I need Jesus. And so that's one way that I choose to look at it for myself, is that I'm like you said, on a journey. And today I need the help of the Lord to overcome my weakness.
Same here. One of my main prayers every morning is, Lord, help me to focus. And I mean, so there's a lot of other things we can do, like simple things, just making sure you're eating like the cleanest diet you can possibly do. That helps a lot.
Good luck with that.
Well, do your best. I had to learn to not go watch all the documentaries that tell me how bad my food is, because then I don't want to eat. But how clean can I make my food? The healthiest foods possible. Exercise and sunshine help my brain to work better, and then I'm able to focus better because I've gotten more blood flow going. Even just having safe people that you can go talk to and be like, hey, today's not such a hot day. Can you help me? What do I need to be doing?
So good. Yes.
Stuff like that.
Well, I know we talked about like having some downtime.
Yes.
Self-care
is a big deal.
Yeah. So one of the patterns we get into, I've done this before. I know you said you've done it, where you stay up late watching TV and then it's detrimental to your day the next day. But there's a balance of learning how, like, you're overstimulated or you're dealing with stressors all day, got the kids down. Now you need to unwind and find some peace and just kind of veg out. And so what are some healthy ways, since you're a counselor, I know you deal with this a lot, what are some healthy ways to kind of decompress, recharge, self-care, and then also I want to talk about how sometimes that comes with guilt.
Yes. So real self-care, like I've noticed my impulse is to go just lay on the couch and watch TV or play a stupid video game, a brainless one, because that's my favorite ones. The ones where I can unplug and just veg out. However, I've also noticed that as much as I enjoy doing that, I don't actually feel better afterwards. I actually tend to feel worse because now I've just totally wasted time and I don't have more energy. I don't feel more peaceful. Scrolling on my phone, it's fun. There's funny videos and things. My husband and I are sending reels back and forth to each other all the time, but I don't feel better after I've been scrolling all day long. Or, I even have a time limit. I'm always shocked at how fast the time limit goes off on my phone with social media. But if I can go make myself walk around the block for, even just 1 or 2 times, sit down and just pray. If you have your prayer language, pray your prayer language, because when you don't know what to say, that's what that prayer language is there for, to help just be able to connect with Holy Spirit and just engage with him, whatever that looks like. And, he's the one uttering the prayers for us when we don't know what to pray. Finding ways to just relax. There's a lot of breathing techniques you can do. There's a lot of finding ways to meditate on the truths and the scriptures and things that will actually help bring peace to our bodies and our brains. Turning on scripture on audio has been a huge game changer for me, because sometimes sitting down to just read the Bible is like,
hard to focus.
My brain is going 15 different directions, and I'm like, okay, I've read the same verse 100 times and I still don't know what it says.
Yeah.
But the audio for some reason clicks for me, and I appreciate it. Or if I can read and listen at the same time, that makes it work better.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes when you're first starting to practice self-care, like I carry a lot of tension in my body, in my neck and my upper shoulders. And so I remember just like going, I need a massage. Even if it's a chair massage at the mall.
That physical stimulation to our bodies helps start to release like all the happy chemicals.
Husbands are good for that
relax.
too.
Husbands.
They're good for giving massages.
Yes.
And also rest. And so I would feel guilty about those things, like spending the money or taking the time to go get a massage or resting. Like it was so hard to, as my kids got older, to like when they're little, that's not always an option, right? To be
Right.
able to rest. But then you get this cadence of busy, 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 busy. And so when you have the time or you have to make the time, I literally had to put it in my phone, like on the calendar.
Yep, it's
And
a
I had
schedule.
to, sometimes I would just like feel awkward about telling, no, I can't do that. And I have to remind myself, no is a complete sentence. I don't have to tell people I'm
Right.
resting.
Yes.
And I don't have to feel guilty about it either.
You don't have to justify it.
Yes. So even if it's like a 15 minutes to meditate or to actually close your eyes and try to sleep,
Yep.
like it doesn't have to be a long amount of time, which it can be, and you don't have to feel guilty about that either. But I feel like in our society, that's a big deal to feel guilty
is.
not being busy and being productive.
Yeah.
Well, it is very productive to recharge.
Yep.
It's very productive to self-care.
It is.
In other cultures, they actually take naps in the middle of the day.
I know that's their practice, and
right.
they're more productive for it.
Right. And there are
Yeah.
tons of studies that show that if you take a break and take a 15-minute nap or a 30-minute just downtime from your job, that you're actually more productive.
Yeah. Dustin, you had said that some like social aspects have been harder for you. Did you ever find any things that you tried and didn't work, or things that you tried and that helped at all to help you either feel more comfortable in social aspects, or things that Pam has helped?
Well, Pam's definitely helped with that, because
Okay.
if it weren't for Pam, I'd be a hermit and never. It's not that
She
she
keeps you
forced
social.
me; she's encouraged me and pushed me to expand and because she believes in me and she knows
Yeah.
what I can offer and what I have, and so she pushes me to those, but she doesn't push too far.
Oh,
she
right.
she gently nudges me,
love.
and we've expanded our friend circle over the years, and we have more close friends than we
Good.
had. So that aspect of it, and she's like always told me, and like when we have big family gatherings and lots of people are around, she's like, if you need to just go be to yourself,
Yeah.
because she said, I know
Take
you get
some time.
overstimulated, just go do that. You're free to go. You want to go in
Sure.
the bedroom, you want to leave, whatever, you're free.
Yep.
It was so funny. For a while, it was like, Dustin's going to Taco Bell. We've had this family gathering for 2.5 days with all this food. Like, there's food coming
That's
out
so
our ears,
funny.
and Dustin's going to Taco Bell. I'm like, and it became like code for Dustin needs some alone time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it was maybe the comfort of some junk food. I don't know. But I just really, okay, he needs to just go be by himself for a while and come back. And then as Aiden got older, they were going to go run an errand or whatever. And
Or go to movies and things like Joseph and I did.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
we remember the time we
Yeah.
were supposed to be going to the store and getting something.
we're
and we
waiting
ended up-
on their food. We're waiting to cook a meal.
And we are gone for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, before
Oh
cell
my
phones.
gosh.
We're like,
That's
where
so
are they?
funny.
Where are they? Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
movie.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was an example of what not to do. So, but you learned
Yeah.
from that. Like
Yeah.
communication is a big part
Yeah,
of it.
communication is important.
It's
What your
very
needs,
important.
being aware of what your needs are and being able to
Yes.
communicate those.
That's very hard though when you, depending on what your love style is on the, in the
Oh,
before
like
love, the
the
before love style.
attachment?
Yeah, the attachment theory. It's
What's
harder
hard?
because it's hard to express your needs. Because
It can
the
be,
thing is,
yeah.
if you express your needs, I don't know, it gets outside the scope of this pretty quick, but you fear rejection. And I'm
Yes.
sure that's tied into this I'm not a psychologist and don't play one on TV. So,
Well, yeah. So recognizing though that you're not doing well, even if you don't know what you need, is awesome, because once you know that I'm not doing well, then you can go, okay. Like you
Yeah.
can start to actually assess, like, is there more stress right now? Is there something, a need that I'm not getting met? Is there, an issue with a relationship, something heavy weighing on me? That's a really big deal. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we mentioned that we work together on this a lot, and so one of the ways is sometimes I can notice before you notice.
oh yeah,
that there are
Like
things.
a couple of weeks ago, you noticed it.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of encourage people that there are some tools to kind of help other people with. Like, I can come up to him and touch him and say, "How are you doing? Are you doing okay?" Or, "I've noticed blank." Or, "Do you need some time alone?" Or, "Are you feeling anxious?" And just asking some open-ended questions can start dialogue for him to where
Yeah.
he starts to unlock things and just kind of talk it out. And then it's kind of, whew. it's like a fester that doesn't have to fester
Right.
anymore because we kind of dealt with it. So yeah, and just also recognizing he needs downtime. That he doesn't have to be involved in everything socially that I'm involved in. Just
Yeah.
because we invite people over for the weekend or we have Christmas going on, whatever it is, then the house is full of people and lots of stimulation. He's learned to take that time for himself and do his own thing, whether it's a lot of times he'll stay in the bedroom in the mornings. Like he doesn't come out till 11 or he skipped breakfast. Everybody, where's Dustin? Where's Dustin? Well, he's still in bed.
He's hiding.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's good.
Yeah, he's laying in the bed reading or has his headphones on listening to something, and that's great. You learned a little routine, and then he loves being with us the rest of the day because he took that time.
Recharged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think that that point you mentioned about you coming up and saying, "How are you doing?" As a spouse, receiving that, for guys and gals out there, that if your spouse says that to you, it took me the longest time. Is there a trap there? Is there what's the hook and what's the agenda that in that? And that's something I've had to learn, that there is no hook, there is no agenda. It's a genuine request coming from
So sometimes,
a spouse.
I think that falls in the category of overthinking. Like you get in the way you're wired. He's an engineer and the critical analyst. Sometimes you apply those things to relationships. And Lawrence, our pastor, really helped me with this with Dustin. He's like, he's seen everything through his analytical lens. And so I stopped taking things as personally and could start to detach from that emotionally and start to ask more questions. Can you tell me more about that? And so a lot of times, yes, it's you're constantly thinking and constantly analyzing and constantly critiquing things. And I think that has helped to kind of, for me to know that about you, and that it's hard for you to turn that off, like thinking that my genuine concern was manipulation or critical.
And like when you offered, like a couple, I was stressed out a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, I hadn't eaten or something, and you offered to fix me something, and instead of just receiving that, I turned that into a gain and cause frustration, because it's like, no, she has no agenda, but I'm projecting onto her. And I think that's something that I do a lot, is I project what I'm actually internalizing onto you, which I think is something that will cause relational tension for anyone. It's something I'm trying to become more self-aware, get out of my headspace, and try to...
Yes, so you stay in your left brain a lot.
I do.
So I appreciate that you're working on that. That's something that I think a lot of people with neurodivergent issues can struggle with. It just so happens Heather and I are more on the relational side than maybe most. That it's easier for a lot of neurodivergent people to stay in the things realm, dealing with things, pets, career, whatever, instead of focusing on relational things. So anyway, there's
the other side too. There's some people on the neurodivergent side that are so overwhelmed with the emotional atmosphere that they become overstimulated, and that's why they get overstimulated with people, or they are so worried about what other people are thinking and picking up on all these social cues that they don't know what to do. They are struggling, and so they come off as real strange because they're picking up all this stuff, and
then some of that's been reinforced in society because maybe when they're a kid, people judged them or said things that were pointed out how strange they were behaving, and so then they're self-conscious, and that's something that there's people in our family that struggle with that too. And then there's like freeze because now I don't know what to do socially. What's the expectation?
They actually have a superpowered right brain, and it's like, oh my goodness, okay, let's hone these skills.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So let's talk about what we can do as a church to help with this. I mean, we talked about some tools, but like for kids, first, let's talk about that. I know that we've had some really great children's pastors that helped with kids with ADD, ADHD on the spectrum, whatever way you want to say it.
Yeah, and even just kids tend to have a lot of energy, and that doesn't mean they're on the spectrum.
Yes. So some of the things, do you want to talk about some of the tools that we can use with children to help?
Yeah, there's a lot of new exercises that actually help get into or work the different parts of their brain to help blood flow and help training. And so there's a ton of tools like fidgets, and there's fidgets for your hands. There's mouth fidgets for people who have extra motor skill, like mouth motor oral skills. And it's like, okay, we need to work
something
on
to chew on.
Yeah, we need to work on our volume. Let's turn our volume down. This is something we work on at my house. There's lots of different, like if a kid has to sit, in a chair for an extended amount of time for like school or testing or something like that, there's wobble seats and the exercise bands you can put on the bottom of the chair legs to help them work their feet while they're sitting there. And just being able to, like, if there are kids that are needing to sit, like whether for a church lesson or whatever, it's okay to let them like walk back and forth or maybe sit on the floor. Pacing.
Yeah.
A lot of neurodivergent people
Rocking.
actually, yes, work better because they're sitting here like doodling and playing with something like that and drawing little pictures.
I'm a doodler. I like to doodle.
Yeah, your brain actually processes better because you're using your hand to do things. And just not seeing it as a curse.
Right. And
it's an extra power to work with. We have to learn how to use our powers for good and not evil.
Good. So like silly putty.
Yep.
Something to chew on. There's really practical
Chew
things.
on silly putty?
No, don't chew on silly putty.
Right.
But learning how to help kids process information the way that they can handle it is a kind thing, and it may require extra grace in the classroom at church. So then let's talk about some of the tools for adults. One of my favorites, Lawrence, our pastor, uses this a lot. I was like taking someone aside and saying, "Hey, have you ever noticed that blank?" So like if someone, we're talking about neurodivergence, is a blurter or interrupter. So maybe, hey, have you ever noticed that you interrupt a lot? If you can kindly and lovingly have a connection with someone to have this conversation, it's amazing. Like you think, oh no, they're going to get offended. Like that's the first thing, like, I'm not sure if I want to ask that question. Well, it's incredible how powerful this tool is to help people like, no, I didn't realize that. Okay. And then they are softened and they receive help and they receive feedback. And I think sometimes that is really helpful because some of these people just aren't getting feedback and just need someone to love them enough to be kind enough to share. Yeah.
It's loving to tell somebody they have food in their teeth. So it's like, it's the same. Like, hey, have you ever noticed or did you know that you're doing this behavior? Maybe this is part of why you're having some of these relational issues.
Yes.
And it's because it brings love and care. You're not criticizing them. You're helping them see other things that they can't.
Yes. So another one is, hey, I've noticed blank. Can you tell me more about that? So that can also be disarming because it's not, I did turn it off. You're not noticing that you're not trying to point out that they're a problem. You're talking about what you're noticing. And so it may be that you're the one misunderstanding it.
Oh, same.
And so, like to have it be like, I'm struggling and I need help understanding what's going on here. So those are some tools you can use. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I feel like we could do a part 2 on this. So there's that.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot here to unpack. So you good? Did you have anything to add?
I was going to say one thing that Jake's been telling all the guys, because, it's like, we all got work to do on ourselves. And all you guys out there that want to be lazy and blame your wife, saying it's her fault, it's this, it's that. No. You go first, like Jake said. You go first. You do the work. Then she will see you doing the work. And when she sees change in you, then she will...
That's good.
Wow.
That's really, really good. Because I know this is work and some people want to stay in denial and don't want...
work.
Like, they're right. We should always be looking at ways to learn and grow, like you said, on the journey. So that's really good. Thanks for sharing that. Well, thank you guys. We'll look forward to next time.